Thank you for doing this on no notice and basically no guidance beforehand.
Hey, no problem. I'm all for it.
Excellent. So, any questions for me, or you want to jump in?
I don't really have any questions.
We'll
I
do
got
it
some
on the fly.
notes. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm like I'm the most organized I've been in like I don't know forever. So
That
I've
counts
got
for a
some
lot.
talking points and stuff. I've even got some notes on community development. I know that I never got around to making that video. I'm still planning on making it actually pretty soon here, so might want to
That
touch on that too.
that's one reason I was excited to see your name pop up when we talked about this because we've been talking about doing something like this for over a year at least, I think.
Oh yeah.
So,
I've been kind of swamped with work, and then now I don't have a job. So
uh-oh. Well, let's start getting into it. First, let's have you introduce yourself and we'll go from there.
okay, cool. I'm Rick Oclon. I'm a game designer mostly, but also developer. So right now, solo dev, just kind of doing everything: community, marketing, doing the art, the programming, the sound, the the music, everything you could think of. Right.
So
Yeah.
you were kind of a nights and weekends guy until, I mean, what happened?
Yeah, so the last 3 years I was working at a frame shop and just doing the nights and weekends and just kind of working my tail off for both jobs. And yeah, so one day I was thinking about quitting. I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about quitting, and I think my boss kind of picked up on that, and he
Hmm.
just he just assumed that I had another job. So when
Uh,
I asked to use my paid time off, like a landslide occurred, and all of a sudden I was just like out of a job, and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I didn't. It made it clear that I didn't belong there. So
I'm sorry to hear that, but it sounds like it's
I'm
easy for
excited
me
to
to
be
say, but I
gone.
mean, bullet dodged, I would say.
Yeah. I should have left there a long time ago. And when I started there, I really needed the money. I had nothing when I started there, so I'm glad that they got me by, but I shouldn't have stuck around as long as I had. So you know how it
Something
is.
I do know how it is. Something I hate about that is I feel like we see these situations all the time where I'm a person who's moved around between jobs a lot. And not because I've really ever been fired, but always something broke down between me and management or something became overwhelmingly unbearable until I just had to go. And I feel like employers do a lot of that kind of stuff. Like, obviously, they're not allowed to like take it out on you that you want to use paid time off that you're entitled to, but it's like also, what are you going to do? Sue them, And they know that. And sometimes they do get, the matter goes to court, but not very often. And they're just used to getting away with it.
The
So
owner is a pretty rich guy, so no chance, right?
bring it on. Yeah, exactly.
But
Stupid. Well, I'm
now I'm getting unemployment when I wasn't expecting it. So that's however it works, right?
sorry to hear it overall, though. I'm glad we're finally getting to do this call. And I'm dying to hear about you do all kinds of stuff. So the big thing you're doing right now, correct me if I'm wrong, retro spaceball, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That's number one priority.
When
Trying
did
to open
this
up the Steam store. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to know. Like, where is the project at? How long's it been going on? Describe the game for people.
Okay, yeah. So it's a vertical shooter combined with pinball. So it's kind of unique. As far as game design is concerned, it's been a challenge. I'm not gonna lie about that. The first 2 or 3 years was all balancing. I'm still balancing the game. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of. It took a while to understand for me to understand the core mechanic, which is essentially moving the ball from the bottom of the level to the top of the level. You wouldn't think it would be that difficult, but there's actually a lot to this game. It's mostly because of the amount of physics that are going on in it. Right, I'm shooting bullets really fast at a ball who's trying to fall to the bottom of the level. So there's a lot of just like bouncing around that occurs, and you could imagine colliders and stuff. They don't always do what you expect. Excuse me. So sometimes the ship goes through the wall, or the ball gets stuck in the wall, or things like that. I'm still fixing some of these bugs. It's in beta,
Hmm.
so I'm not too concerned that I've got some bugs still, but at the same time I'm weeding them out one by one. So
When
it's
did
happening.
when did beta start?
It's a funny story, really. So I put the first like pre-alpha, one of the first pre-alphas up, on itch. So the alpha was it was too quick, I guess. And I kind of jumped into what I considered beta at the time. And now I've just been in beta for like the last 2 years. So a lot of people would say like beta is like right before release. It's like, it's a term that people recognized at the time. Now I think people understand demo or Kickstarter or whatever there's so many different terms you could use. But when I first released the beta a couple of years ago, I was like, well, it's a beta. So it's better than how it was,
Yeah. And I mean, itch seems like a good place for I'd kind of lump all those concepts into a sort of work in progress category. And itch seems like a really good place to build out your game. I mean, I've done smaller versions of this also, but it seems like you're making really good use of the itch system. I like the page for this. It looks really cool. And I like all the graphic design stuff you've done to promote the game.
Thank you.
I feel like the game's cover photo gives you a really good feel for what you're going to get, which is...
I appreciate that.
It's kind of a nice change of pace, because sometimes you have no idea from like a store page what you're getting into. But this is, if you picture pinball games and, space shooter type spaceship games, those are both deceptively complicated projects on their own, and you've decided to tackle the hardest parts of both, which it seems to me like that's created new issues, I'm sure, just from the combination. And I don't envy the development you're doing, and I'm not surprised. This has been a work in progress for a while. So you can tell from videos that this can't be easy to work on.
It's kind of funny. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm still making a lot of mistakes. And that just goes to show that game development is difficult. And everyone's got a different path, and everyone's going to learn different things at different times. And if I had worked in AAA right out of college or something like that, maybe I would have picked up on other studios making these mistakes that I'm making. But at the same time, the mistakes that I'm making, I don't see them to be as detrimental as a big studio might, because I'm learning from them, and then I'm taking what I'm learning, and I'm either pivoting on it or focusing on a new way to make it work. And it's been working well for me. I'm seeing exponential growth, and I've been seeing it from the start. So when I hear people talk about like, oh, I'm not seeing growth, it's like, oh, well, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, I'm doing a lot of effort to get that growth too. It's been a job for sure.
What's the player count like on the itch side? I mean, give me a ballpark.
I actually have a timeline right here. So it's kind of funny, right? I'm going to keep saying that because the whole story is a little funny to me. But
nothing's ever normal in game development, so
yeah, it's weird. It's a little weird. But there was a web build that kind of just like shot everything. People play web builds. They do. Or at least they did a couple years ago when I first put it up. So people were playing it in this super early state where like the game was. I mean, the bullets were moving really slow, it was a challenge just to not die from the lava at that point. And so when players were getting mad, I would like fix things and work around what they were getting upset about. And that's actually what made the core so like worthwhile today, is that every time someone like stumbled and hurt themselves, metaphorically, I went and I like patched the hole, you know what I mean? And I feel like a game like this really requires that, where a lot of indie games are doing the opposite, where they're like, oh, well, I have this grandiose idea of my own, and if people don't understand it, that's because they don't understand my art or whatever like that. And I'm not really looking at it at that angle at all. I'm looking at it as like, I came up with the design idea because I thought it would be cool, not because I thought other people would think it would be cool, right? But other people are playing it. I'm not making it just for me. I mean, that'd be pretty boring. Right? Yeah. I mean, I love the game, but it's a lot of work. It's not like I'm having a great time. I am, but it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm just playing games all day, Right. So I would like for other people to feel that way playing my game. If I can't, someone should. But yeah, you mentioned numbers, and I didn't mean to avoid that. The first year or so, it was the MAU was all under 100, right? That's the monthly average, or is it average? Yeah, monthly average users, right?
Hmm.
I think that's what it stands for. So that the like in a 30-day period, there was less than 100 people playing in any given point in the first year. But then at that point, what happened was pirates took my game and put it on their websites,
Hmm.
and that really boosted the numbers, which is it's really weird because then things started happening to the what is it the DAU per MAU, right?
Hmm.
So you started to see dips in that where people were finding it on the pirate sites and because they were playing it, but they weren't coming back to it. But luckily, Itch actually fixed some of that. Where if you go to those sites now, it directs you back to Itch, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but then there was another spike about a year later of so the first spike. What do I got here? It was where did I write it? I wrote it in two different spots. Sorry about that.
That's
Okay,
right.
so we have 370 MAU during the first peak, and that was May 2000 or I'm sorry 2019. So yeah, 370 people in a 30-day period playing it. So that's what it came. The first build was in November of 17, so just over a year or so after release. That was the first beta, and then once I put in versus mode, there was another spike. A matter of months later, in March of 2020, and that was 475 at its peak in
Hmm.
a 30-day period. So I mean, those numbers aren't massive for someone who's on Steam or someone who's got a publisher or a budget or things of that nature. But for someone who's I was still like very small fledgling on Twitter. I had no followers on Itch. I really had nothing going for me but this little web build that was making its way around apparently because people were playing it, even though it wasn't very good yet. So I don't know how it all worked, but eventually, and I did Newgrounds as well, and I think that
Oh,
really
okay.
helped propel as well. Newgrounds has a really funky method. Excuse me, need some water here. They kind of gamify what they do with their social aspect of it, which is really cool actually. There's just a really weird community on Newgrounds, so a lot of devs avoid it because of the community. But if you put your game up there, people are going to play it. They're
Hmm.
gonna rip it apart, which is what you want,
Yeah.
right? That's what you want. So put your game on Newgrounds, let them rip it apart. You don't have to do it again. Just take the valid input, fix your game with it. And that's what I did when I put it up there, and it was the beta. It got like 400 plays or something on Newgrounds within a few months or something, and almost every comment on it was negative on the controls because I had made some changes based on someone's feedback and they weren't good changes. So I mean, you got to be careful on the
Yeah.
changes you make. And when you're in live development like that, you probably are going to make some mistakes and people are going to hit them. So you just got to be quick to fix it. And that's what I've been doing. So yeah, and then so after that second spike, there was a whole nother year which I'm in now of below 100 MAU because what happened there was I actually couldn't make the web build anymore. The game outgrew the web build, or
Hmm.
I no longer know how to make it work. I don't,
Sure.
something happened where I gave up on the web build because I'm not going to sell that anyways, and it was taking too much time to try to fix. After
Yeah.
about a few months, I was like, okay, sorry, web build's gone, and my MAU just tanked, just bottomed out, and it
Hmm.
happened right around the same time as COVID too. So all of that combined, just I hit my low. I think it was like 10, or I think it was eight people in a 30-day period. So
Yeah.
that's
It.
my numbers for you.
Well, thank you for that. I think people
Oh,
will find
absolutely.
that.
Sorry, it was so big, or too
No,
much
that
information, right?
no, that's fantastic. I rarely get access to, information like that. I wouldn't really ask people for it, but when somebody offers it, I'm very
It's
interested
useful.
in. Yeah, I,
I
I
like
think
having it.
I think people can apply that for sure. Things I find interesting about that are that first, rubber meets the road where I mean, really any exposure is good exposure during that time. So if the game maybe travels out of your control a little bit, maybe it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I mean, I still sent them emails and said take the game down because
Yeah,
legally you're not supposed to let them do that, right?
it's
But
true. I had that same. That is one thing about web builds is they're a lot easier to capture and sort of put up on another website or something. When I did the game jam for like kids games that I did a couple of years ago now, my son had a game idea that he wanted to see, and so I made that for him. And I said, let's make a jam out of it. Everybody take 2 weeks and see what you can do. This game I made for my kid almost immediately showed up on like two other websites, and I was, because of the emotional element of it, and it was for my little kid, like I was really angry when I
yeah,
saw that.
I can
And
see that.
like I tracked down somebody in charge of that site and I said, how are you going to compensate my kid that you just stole this game from? So you let me know. And they actually got back to me. It was a
That's
bluff.
surprising.
I had no leverage whatsoever, of course, but somebody got back to me like, we're really sorry. We're going to take this down. But for that reason, when I put up stuff on itch, especially, I tend to lock it behind the paywall and say like it's $1. It's $1 to do it, and that's not a good way to bring in players. But I was mad at that time, so I kind of did that. But
Yeah,
it's interesting that the game traveling kind of put some new eyes on it, which makes sense. You hear that every once in a while from people who go like, our game was rampantly pirated, and suddenly we brought in all these new sales. That's cool. And then as the web build sort of outgrew being a web build, it does make sense that you took a hit. But that's also very frustrating. I mean,
I'm
as
okay
as
with
it,
it. I
that's
have
good.
a good testing base now, and that's really what I wanted, and I got it. So you know, I still
How?
want people to pay for the game when it comes out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, how close do you think you are to that Steam sort of full release?
I would love to say within the next 2 years I would have a full release out, but who knows at this point, right? We'll have to see.
That's
I could end up with another job soon here, maybe
sure.
not. It doesn't. We don't know. We'll just have to. It'll be done when it's done, right?
It's a weird time because I mean everybody says like, oh, there are all these jobs and employees aren't going back to the same jobs or the same kind of jobs now, and I still know a ton of people who are looking for work because whatever happened during the pandemic, they haven't been relocated yet. So it's like we hear there are jobs, but I see all these people looking for them, and it doesn't seem like a guarantee that people are finding stuff very easily. So I don't know what to think about that.
There's a lot of jobs out there. I'm applying for jobs, not jobs that I will never get, but jobs that if I was poor, I would probably just get any job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Oh,
luckily, I
sure.
have
Yeah.
some savings from my last job, and I would love to continue working on this game, and I was saving, so I would be able to. So I'm using my savings on the game essentially, but I'm still looking for work. So hopefully I find something and I can feed back into the savings again. But then the other thing is that retro baseball is kind of gearing more like an esport now with the versus mode and stuff. It's people are looking at it more like, wait, that could be an esport. So I mean, if I were to go the route of like a Kickstarter and a online multiplayer type thing, there is a chance that this could be something of a Rocket League type scenario where it
Yeah.
becomes a full-time job.
Right, competitive games become a business a lot faster than, your micro studio that puts out a fun indie game. That's cool, and maybe you get to tackle the next thing or whatever. But yeah, competitive online games seem like stop what you're doing and nurture this, and it's going to take all your time.
And honestly, I love retro baseball. So if this was going to happen to a game, I would so prefer it to be this game than some other game that I just like happen to be messing around with. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's what I'm shooting for with this project. If it doesn't go that way, I'm not going to try to force people into that. I'm just going to go with what people are feeling, because I have other projects I'd like to work on too. So
yeah.
I have more in the books. I've got the notebooks full of ideas. So.
It's got a very cool retro appeal. It looks perfectly well in its place in the '90s, and which
Thanks.
is cool. And to add a competitive element to that, it's like that kind of fills a little bit of a gap that we don't have much to fill with. So I kind of like that, and I
I'm
hope
having
that
fun
does
with
take
it.
off that way.
I appreciate that. I really hope it does too. I'm having fun with it still, you know. And honestly, I haven't really changed the versus mode all that much up until like today. I just started making some major changes on it in like the last year, and I'm still playing it and having fun with it. So I mean, that to me right there says a lot because I get kind of bored with things kind of quickly if I don't
Mhm.
really enjoy them. So
There are people who make games like this who are less technical and it's more approachable for them to do. I know that's not you because you've done much more technical development than this. So, I mean, what tools are you working with? Are you working with a more advanced engine or what do you do?
for this one, this is just Unity and Sprite. That's pretty much all it needs. I can't think of any other. Oh, Ableton.
Mm-hmm.
I am a music guy. I've been a music guy before I was in games, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I was probably designing levels on paper at the same time that I was picking up music and stuff. But I was in bands and stuff, and I love making music. So I had already planned on making video game music long before I could make a game.
Nice. My
So
streak
yeah,
continues. All my guests have been musical for like a month and a half or something
it's
now.
it's
So,
just such a great medium. It
oh
really
yeah,
is. It's like drawing a picture, but with air pressure.
exactly. Like that. And
So yeah, I did buy this fancy MIDI controller. I can show you here, and Ableton, which Ableton is not cheap for anyone who knows. So
I've
this is
heard
the
that.
MIDI
Yeah.
controller here.
Ooh.
So that was not cheap either. They're both actually about the same price. They're about $800 a piece or something like that, I think.
Yeah, that's up there.
But Ableton came with the suite, which has all the built-in plugins and stuff. And some of these plugins are like $200 if you buy them on the street. So
Yeah.
it kind of pays for itself, or
Do people
hopefully
buy
it
a lot
will.
of plugins on the street?
On the street, yes, that's where you get plugins, right?
Out of a trunk? That's
The
what I
street
picture.
gun. Yeah, no, it came off the back of a truck.
Get them while they're hot. Yeah. That's funny. The last musical purchase I made like that was I'm looking because it's across the room over there. Is a it looks like a pretty nice keyboard, but it came from Guitar Center and it was about like 98, 99 bucks, and it came with like a miniature version of Ableton.
Yeah,
With not
that's how I
physically
started.
miniature like I'm presenting here, but
No, the express version. Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, live or something. But that was cool, and I like the sort of keyboard experience, even though I'm not an experienced keyboardist. That's still during a game jam. It's a really cool way to just crank out notes and sort of lay the groundwork for whatever track you're working on. And
That software is actually really useful. I mean, compared to the suite, it seems weak because it doesn't have all of these MIDI stuff. But if you're doing just recording stuff, it's great for that. And it's probably maybe what $80 or something like that, I
yeah,
think, for something, And it usually comes with an instrument. That's how I got it.
right.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of that too. So that's something for people to check out if they're looking for that kind of thing. This doesn't have to be a complete topic change, but I'm dying
No.
to hear about your experience working on Dodge People.
Oh, Dodge People. Yeah. So that was it Global? I think it was Global Game Jam.
Mhm.
20 something, 2019, I want to say. No, 2018. I don't know, one of those years.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was the University of Advancing Technology. They had their group, and I had been to one there previously, and so I was going to IGDA meetings, right? The IGDA, and unfortunately, they haven't started back up yet. I'm hoping they will soon. But yeah, so I had gotten some people to come with me to the next one, and we formed a team and we made Dodge People there. So I wasn't doing a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was doing a lot of the modeling and the sound, and I was doing stuff, but the ideas weren't all mine. So I can't take full credit for Dodge People. Actually, Liza Nipsher came up with the idea, and she's a dev as well. She's really cool. She's got this cookie gardening game that she's working on now. It's a VR kind of thing.
Nice.
But yeah, she was working in VR and had a VR headset, and she's like, well, let's do it in VR. I was like, let's do it. We had other people, and so we just all decided, yes, Dodge People. This is the game that we're making. And then there was someone that worked at Sony there who was judging. and he really liked it because he had tested the Sony VR, and he was telling me about how they couldn't get it to work and stuff. And the fact that we got something working in 72 hours was just amazing to them. And then it was, not polished, but relatively polished for a game jam. It was playable. So a lot of the people's, like within the building weren't playable when the 72 hours are up, because a game jam is difficult,
Yeah.
And the first one I did there wasn't playable after I've been lucky with game jam. So I have 2 playable game jam games.
That's good. Any playable game jam games is very good. On YouTube, I'll drop in footage of that, of course. But for the podcast listener, if you have not seen this, which maybe you haven't, the concept is it's dodgeballs playing dodge people by literally like throwing people back and forth, which is hilarious, and it's as funny as it sounds.
Like reverse dodgeball.
Reverse dodgeball, and it was just the perfect joke for me. It cracked me up forever when you tweeted something about. I don't know how it came up, but you showed it to me, and I died. I died that day. Extremely funny, and
sounds like something I do.
More people should know about dodge people is my my stance. But this is
pretty funny.
That's kind of what I mean. Like, you've been involved.
I did the voicing on it too, the voice acting. Right.
That is awesome.
There's one point where someone else told me to write the line. I didn't write the line, but the line is, "I have a family." So when you're throwing the guy, it's like, "I have a family," and it sounds just like that because I did the voice.
So classic. I love that. So awesome, humorous project under your belt, and like I said, fairly technical stuff. So I mean, you could be doing just about anything you wanted to work on with those skills, and you're choosing to do retro Spaceball, and I think it shows. I think it's a very nice looking retro game, and I haven't played it myself yet, but the videos seem to be very. You can get a sense of the gameplay from watching the clips and stuff, and it's very cool what you've accomplished so far. So I think a lot of people.
I'm interested to hear what you think when you play it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be playing it as soon as possible. But I think a lot of people would have abandoned this project when they actually started to combine the 2 gameplay elements and tackled those technical issues we've already discussed.
That first curveball was a rough one when I realized that the game wasn't just good for being a game.
Yeah, it's like. I've had versions of this where I was like, what if I combined this with that? And I slammed them together and went, nope, don't want to deal with that.
That's what it felt like. But, I was really new to like just solo development, right? Mm-hmm. I had done team stuff, and I had done solo development by myself, right? This was the first time I'd done a solo project and put it online. So I was really excited that people were playing it. So I just wanted them to keep playing it at that point, right? I was like, oh my God, someone played my game. Yes, I'm going to make it better. They hate it. I'm going to make it better. So they play it again. I'm going to give it back. And then I did. I'd email them a week later, be like, hey, I know you hated it, but I made it better. And then they'd play it again. And sometimes you convert people.
It's so cool because I've talked to a few developers with that approach who do get the nasty comments or the critical comments, whatever it is. Some people do it nicely and some people don't. But the ones who take that and go, first of all, what can I filter out of this and, get the little nugget of truth or constructive feedback out of this, and they address it, and they will go back to that person. I can think of 3 people, including you. The others are Ryan Engel, who does Topgolf's VR game, Thomas Kildren, who works on a VR. They've both been VR developers, but the ones who go back to those people and go, here's what I did, and I'd love to hear your feedback now. Those turn into super positive experiences usually. Yeah. And the games make leaps and bounds. I don't think everybody has the courage to do that. Like, there are situations I wouldn't have done that,
It's that thick skin, everyone talks about. If you don't have it, it hurts, but you develop it over time.
So, and I mean, starting on old school gaming websites as you kind of have like Newgrounds, I imagine you get kind of the best and the worst of feedback and players.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen it all at this point. Nothing surprises me, and I think that helps. because it helps me to put myself beside, because I am attached to it. It's impossible to say that I'm not. It's everything that I do right now. It's pretty much everything I'm doing right now. So yeah, I'm attached to it, but I can put myself to the side for the sake of the game. That's just what you have to do.
What other kind of teamwork have you done other than dodge people?
Oh yeah, I just realized that something that I was working on when I started Retro Baseball actually just got released. It's called Today Is My Birthday. Now, this is another funny story, besides just a funny title, because that is a funny title.
That is.
So this project was a fiasco, and I'm not credited on it. And I had to talk to the publisher to get my logo pulled from the title.
Oh, this sounds like a good one.
It was a doozy, man. This studio, man, the lead, he wouldn't let anyone play the game the whole time during the development. In fact, we didn't do any internal testing, and he gave it to influencers without internal testing, and it bugged out on the influencers.
Oh.
I was looking for that video to show a network of mine, and that's when I realized the game is released, and I couldn't find the video anymore.
Holy crap.
But yeah, the game doesn't look very good. A lot of the assets were like either free assets or like sourced, or they paid people for the stuff they couldn't source. Some people got paid and some people didn't get paid. So I was kind of the one person with all of these people who weren't paid that could actually say like, hey, my art's on your website. It's right there. That's my art. And they're like, no, we removed all of the assets. We removed all of the unpaid assets. I'm like, then why is my logo on the website? You know what I mean? And the publisher's like, I don't know. That's not our deal. So we'll take it down. And then the game was down for a few months, and then it was back up. So, I mean, I don't mean to sound like I'm a stick in a mud type of guy, but like, there was someone who had worked on it for EA that was in this group of people. It was mostly small time indie people, but
yeah,
you don't treat people like that. You just, the thing was that we had multiple crowdfunding solution or situations that were failures, and he's like, oh well, crowdfund's over, we're just gonna can everything, everything's gone, disperse, right? And then he found a publisher and got funding with all of our assets.
What in the world?
Yeah, so I mean, but it comes with the territory. I was working with people that I met on Discord, and like honestly, I didn't really have a lot of faith in the project, so I wasn't doing a lot of work for them either. The one thing that I did that I didn't get any credit or any pay for was I did the concept art for like one of the main like bad guys in the game. So my concept art got used. They made a model. They didn't go with my model. They chose a different modeler for that, but they did use my concept art. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't have that pulled from the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So.
I mean, that turns into effectively your design.
Oh yeah. Well, my concept, right? But yeah, the writer didn't get paid. Wrote the entire game, didn't get paid. I'm still friends with him. I think the lead voice actor got paid, but it was just like I said, it was a dumpster fire. Excuse me. And at a point, I realized that I was just watching it just to see if I could learn from it somehow.
Yeah.
And I did. I learned from it. It was disturbing, but I learned.
The nature of collaborative projects in game development, that's why it's interesting to me when I talk to somebody who has managed to work on a couple of teams. Game jams are a bit of an exception because everybody comes together. The expectations are crystal clear for everybody. You know what you're going to get. Everyone's going to work hard. It's going to be done.
Those are perfect for that, for learning how to do a team thing.
Exactly. It's a great way to learn how to cooperate towards a goal. But once you get into let's make a sellable product, and we don't have an official studio established, and the funding is not there yet, but it could be, that becomes a volatile situation. And
it can very quickly. As soon as there's tension, and there will be tension.
I'm surprised a publisher went near this, though, without, doing the due diligence and going, this sounds like it could explode at any moment.
This is a big publisher.
Wow.
Yeah. I wouldn't go into names, but yeah, they're well known. They follow me on Twitter.
This is a very unique story, all on its own. That's crazy.
Yeah, but before that, I was doing a project called Glider with this Australian dude, and we meshed. We were cool, but we had very different time schedules, being that he was in Australia and I was working full time. So we got a lot done, but not at the same time. So there was this like weird conversation there. But what happened with that was I actually canceled that project because I didn't see it having a future. We had failed to do any market research on the project. And then when I started to do the market research, I realized that it just wasn't going to work. There was already 3 or 4 games that had the exact same premise as ours, as the exact same theme, and they didn't do it. You know what I mean? So I was like,
That is something I like in game development, though, especially the indie side, is you can, obviously we're all remote on most of this these days, and you can team up with people you would have had no access to in areas where there are not game development opportunities. And I've talked to several people who are like, yeah, I teamed up with somebody in Canada, in Brazil, or wherever it may be, and like I've got this phenomenal artist that nobody has access to because they just don't have a studio nearby. They don't, and too many studios are still going like, no remote, no how, we don't care which job you want to do. When sometimes that makes sense, sometimes not at all. I don't understand some of the hesitation, like. When we get people in here who are writers and they go like, writers have to move to a studio's city and they work on a 6-month contract. They have to get their family up and move again after that. It's like, why? Why are we doing that?
Yeah, that to me just sounds crazy. I come from an entrepreneur background where I was selling art and stuff like that. I was delivering pizzas to make money and then just trying to make any more money I could, like hustling, art, jewelry, just trying to make ends meet. So to me, a business, the simpler, the better. It's something that you have to do to get by. So might as well make it simple, right?
You've kind of done freelance graphic design as part of that sort of side hustle also, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Graphic design, computer animation. Because I studied computer animation in college, which is funny because I'm doing a 2D pixel art game, but I studied 3D and I do 3D stuff for contract work and, I apply for 3D jobs and stuff like that. So
that's pretty cool. I mean, what tools were you using when you studied, out of curiosity?
Yeah. So in college, I started college in 2005. So it was 3ds Max and ZBrush those were my 2 big ones. Of course, lots of Photoshop, just like pretty much the whole creative suite was just jammed down every orifice. It was crazy, right? But also it was a studio based school, so we did a lot of actual life drawing, which actually was great for animation. We had to take anatomy, so I had to learn how to draw the entire skeleton from every angle and then overlay the muscles with acetate paper. And it was a pricey school, but it was a tough school and I learned a lot. I didn't get a job out of it, but I learned a lot. So I graduated 2009, so the recession was still a thing at the time. Probably very much like it is now. If someone were to graduate college now, they would, or last year even. So it was rough, but that propelled me. It did. It made me do my own thing. Once I realized that I wasn't moving to California to work for EA, and now I don't really want to work for EA. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound like a good job. It did when I was in college, and now I'm like, But the other thing is that I'm getting old. EA looks at me like I'm a geezer.
Right. They've got a problem with that. They would look at me as if I were ancient also. I graduated in 2005. And I only did a 2-year program, so I started in 2003, like 2 weeks after I graduated high school. So something I don't really talk about much is I wanted to go into that exact same kind of program. it was a tech school that did software, which is what I ended up doing. But I wanted to do what they called multimedia training, which was like animation and 3D modeling and stuff. And I thought, who wouldn't want to do that? And I asked about the tools because they were big on 3ds Max also. And I don't know what else. They were still doing like Flash,
Yes,
Flash
I
was
did
still a
Flash.
big thing.
Yep.
And I
Flash
did it on
was
the
fun.
software side
I
too.
liked Flash.
I always liked Flash. I thought it was cool. I had fun doing tutorials in it and tinkering around. But none of my first games were in Flash, as it turned out. But that school didn't have enough people sign up for multimedia. So my recruiter called me and pulled kind of a fast one. Like, I'm sure it wouldn't have held up under scrutiny. But she was like, we are having a lower enrollment rate right now, and we're changing some of the classes to sort of account for that. And I said, okay, that doesn't sound too bad. I should have asked a lot more questions, because what they did was change my major completely and threw me in software, which I was interested in, but certainly did not sign off on. And I found out my first day when they gave me my programming books and a hard drive for all my code. And it was like, and then the following year, they did start that multimedia program, and I had to watch those students have the time of their lives. But like you, I don't think I would have found work out of school if I were doing multimedia stuff without relocating. I would have had to move.
It's like what you said. Who wouldn't want to do that?
I've taught myself as much of that stuff as I could since then. I'm okay at it. I'm not going to grab any tech art jobs because, in part, again, now that there are a few remote opportunities, I am still quite an old man here at going on 36. So it's, I get it. I understand. There are always going to be younger people going like, yeah, send me to LA. Good for them. I'm happy now. And when I hear something like some studio needs some remote help, I just think I'm probably okay. I'm probably good now.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the studio. And some of these indie game studios are starting to look more like AAA studios, It's just one of those things. So there's always choices,
Yeah. Do your recent experiences on teams make you nervous about, I don't know. Let's say,
they're not recent experiences, to be honest. So I'm not nervous. I would love to actually have enough funding to pay some people.
Okay, yeah, you beat me to the past there, because that's kind of what I was thinking. Well, just because you said maybe Retro Spaceball goes competitive focused, and then you would need help, and it's good that you would be sort of not too hesitant about that.
But the other thing is that I'm hesitant where I should be, and I'm keen on my awareness of people now. And I can kind of pick up on things a little quicker. And also I speak my mind. So, and if it's my project, then I'm allowed to speak my mind. So that's like a whole nother thing, right?
I was just having this conversation with my wife, who she works in medicine, and we kind of compare stories, because I had a long career in, software, and it's just, at some point you're still working with people in an office place and all those normal things happen. And I said, here at my level of experience, I really strongly believe in blowing up early and blowing up gently, so you don't have to blow up way down the road and really go off. I think
you gotta blow up. That's the way to do it.
You gotta. It's not that you're sticking your finger in someone's chest and getting in their face, but I mean, you've got to let your concerns be known. And I think a lot of professional problems start because somebody waited too long to speak, or like you said, when you're in charge, you get to do it. But I would encourage more people to find diplomatic ways to let their concerns be known, and to tell people, like, we need to put the brakes on this, or we got to get this out in the open. Everyone's got to know everything. Some problems are going to escape that technique, but it would help a lot, I think.
It's like a Vulcan approach, right?
Right. You gotta bring your logic to the table, everybody.
Yeah.
Reason.
Remove emotions completely. because you're at
That's
work.
what it is. It's you're pulling the emotion out, because the longer you wait, you'll get to a point where you can't possibly separate emotion from, it's going to be, you people have been abusing me for the last 2 years about this and I've had it, Instead you can go like, we need to talk about the boundaries between roles. We need to talk about the way we cooperate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too many people
honestly,
just quietly leave.
it's a lot easier to just diffuse people and be like, oh, we can talk about tomorrow. We don't have time today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or just shush them a little bit, or, say like, oh, well, we can do this for you. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the client work, as you know, helps teach you a lot of those lessons. When you're doing the side work and you're doing the side hustle, you learn everything there is to learn about communicating openly and honestly before it's too late. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's like the worst parts of retail. If anyone has any retail experience, it's like some of the worst aspects of retail that are just so in your face, they're unavoidable when it comes to commissions or contract works with small companies. Sometimes you're literally fighting for your money and stuff. So it's like, it can be draining. And then, people, they don't think you're worth what you are, and you have to sell yourself, and it's marketing. It really is. When you're an artist, you have to market yourself. Otherwise you won't get a good price.
I worked at Best Buy where it had the worst possible ingredients, where it was like, these are relatively high dollar amount products. You've got two people who feel like they're fighting for their money. One side doesn't understand the product. The other side is under a corporate office that does terribly evil things, just horribly unfair practices. They're banking on all these things like warranties that no one's ever going to get, and stuff like that. It's a nightmare. That was a long time ago for me now, and I remember almost every day of that job, because it was just that often that you're fighting with some guy who reminds you of your stepdad you don't like, or whatever. There's a very specific kind of customer that's known for really causing problems at a store like that. Sure. And I could talk about that forever. It's just
it's just crazy when you're doing digital art and stuff like that, how many people come to you and they don't know the difference between a vector piece and a raster piece, and you have to explain it to them, and that's okay. I like telling people that. I like having the knowledge, and I like expressing it. I like giving it to people so they can have the knowledge. But when you got to do it every single time, it's like, man, can't you just look it up online before you call me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say something that I've learned. Excuse me. Something I've learned that makes a big deal in that situation and on a team and in all of those like potentially hostile situations. I will stop people frequently. If I've done my homework and I still need to know something, I will tell somebody, explain this to me like I'm a child. Like, really break this down for me so we both know exactly what we're talking about. Because miscommunication is just such a disaster in this environment,
Yeah. I was there recently when I was hiring help for marketing. It's break it down for me, because I'm trying to learn here, and honestly, I learned a lot through that. So definitely, I would say learn as much as you can from anyone you hire. It's just all around good advice.
Yeah, and you're supposed to bring in help that's better than you at stuff. Why shouldn't you learn along the way? It's part of the value of that, I think. So, speaking of marketing, you're always working on community management stuff and, sort of your own PR. I know you're working on content people can look forward to, like videos and things like that, but what are some good tidbits? What are some things you're experimenting with right now? Give us a little behind the scenes.
So this major project that I have, I've got a lot of ideas, and I would love to continue to grow my YouTube channel for my both for my podcast, which I haven't mentioned at all, but I have a podcast, Indie Game Dev Report, and then for my studio YouTube channel as well, where this first video is going to be about community development. And it's a little funny because I don't have the biggest community, so it's one of those things where it's like, well, what is he talking about? Well, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You have to grow things slowly, otherwise it's not going to be stable.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And today is my birthday is a great example of a very large server that did absolutely nothing for them. So someone went and grabbed all those people and said, hey, join my server, join my server, join my server. And they didn't buy the game. They didn't buy the game. They didn't market the game. They didn't talk about the game. They didn't do anything in the server except says, wait, whose birthday is it?
Yeah.
So that's one of the things is to not do that, right? Don't go grabbing everyone. I mean, maybe it's a good thing to do. I haven't done that. I haven't done it with my server. So maybe that's why my server is not as big. But the people that are in there, you can actually talk to them and they actually respond, or most of it's actually in DMs. I don't know. I think it has something to do with my community being somewhat shy. I think my community is just kind of shy. And that's okay because I get 3 or 4 different people DMing me about pretty much the same. It could be the same conversation, but it's coming from different people, and people feel more comfortable with that. So I'm okay with that. So that's another tip, is that you should just kind of go the direction that your community goes. Don't try to force it, corral it. It's a little like herding kittens at points, but the kittens know where the fun is. So, I mean, let them have the fun too. You know what I mean? And you can try your best to keep things on brand, but you can't be afraid to go a little bit off brand. Like I have one channel in my Discord where people can just post pictures of retro aesthetic stuff.
Nice.
Completely outside of video games, like a boombox that you had when you were a kid. And everyone would be like, I had that boombox too, or I remember that boombox, or, And it's just one of those things that you can do to make things fun. Other things like events, right? I don't do a whole lot of events on my server, but I'm involved in servers that do events. Actually, there's one today for the Tucson game server. I'm not in Tucson. I'm in Phoenix, but the Tucson server is so much better than the Phoenix server that I'm attending their meetings and stuff because they're all
where
online.
The fun is,
so yeah, why not, right? Yeah. They have a great guy talking about what is it? Like code and stuff. Reconfiguring your code and stuff. So I mean, that sounds like something I could do.
Yeah.
Or learn from. So anyways, on a little tangent there. So basically, there's going to be 4 chapters in this video, and the first one's basically about setting up foundation. The second one's going to be all the different kind of community roles that you can look out for. Not so much like roles like Discord roles, but some of the roles would be like a lurker, the people who actually chat, the people who help other people, those types of people.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you would identify them and then kind of facilitate their goals, right? To help them achieve what they're trying to achieve out of your server. So chapter 3 would be all on super fans, which is one of the roles. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term super fan. It's pretty well known term though. Yeah, you basically turn your fan or your fan that's kind of becoming your friend into a major supporter, possibly a moderator, someone who can really amp things up or just help you have fun at what you're doing.
Stan Lee called them the true believers.
yeah, true believer, exactly. So you have to nurture them. This is like a garden. And then the 4th chapter would just be a bunch of different methodologies, which is kind of the tips that you're asking for. One of the greatest tips, I think, is to take notes on Discord, right? There is a little section in the profile where you can actually write about the person you're talking to, and they don't see it.
I love that.
Yeah, I do it for every single person. I said they liked my game, they tested it, or they didn't like it, or they are an artist, they're a musician, they're a student, whatever it is that is going to help me remember them, because that is going to be a hard thing to do once you have a big community. It's hard when you have a smaller community.
Yeah. Killer feature. Yeah.
Taking notes, that is number 1. And if you're already taking notes, amp them up, make them better, man, because you can't have notes that are too good. So working design pillars into your branding and your Discord is actually another methodology. Let's see, of course, bots and Discord roles, that's like a whole nother thing. Most people already can find that somewhere else.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and then I was just going to mostly go into a bunch of different resources and how to use multiple Twitter accounts and stuff like that. Marketing content pipeline. Yeah, marketing content pipeline scheduling. That's the big one. That's where I'm basically just grinding every day to put out a tweet. Not every day. I don't tweet on Sundays anymore, and I don't tweet on or I do like a follow Friday on Friday. So I don't really count that. I don't need any content on those days. So I get a little break. So, but yeah, every single day I wake up and I think of how can I get something that I need to do in my game to look good on Twitter.
Nice.
And that I think a lot of people don't think about it that way, but it took me a while too. But now I'm looking at it, it's like bites. Imagine that you're like some type of animal that needs to eat, right? Like a human. You're taking bites out of your game. But these bites, they got to be the right size so that you can get it done in a manner that's going to look good on Twitter. It's not easy, and it's not going to work every time. I mean, some days you're like, why isn't this working? Or how come this can't look good? Or like, I just can't get it to work on time, right? Mm-hmm. Time is a thing. All of a sudden, if you have to do it every day. So the trick number one is to do it the day before. That's a lot. That's a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't pick up on that. Every tweet I do is done the day before. Yeah. I schedule it, and I schedule it for a specific time when things are blowing up in the morning. There's two good times, I would say, in any given day, but the morning's always going to be a better time. And you can kind of figure it out. It's going to be different depending on your time zone. But for me, it's around like 5 a.m. I'm in Mountain Standard Time. So for you, that's what, 2 hours later, right?
Like 7, yeah.
2 hours later? Yeah, so. Yeah, 2 hours later. Or yeah. So yeah, around that time in the morning, that's when things are exploding on Twitter. And then there's another point in the afternoon around 6 or so my time. But this is going to depend on your country too, right? Because Europe has a different time because our tweets actually kind of feed into their tweets and they like reverberate a little bit. There's some reverberation between Europe and US. I don't know. I've been watching Twitter a lot.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so Twitter, Discord, and then podcast. Those are my main three for trying to just kind of get word out about myself as a developer, about my game, and also with my podcast. I'm doing. It's not just like Retro Spaceball podcast. This is a podcast about other indie games, and I happen to mention my game every once in a while.
Yeah.
The format's like this, where I do about 15 or so to maybe 20 minutes of just like shouting out projects that I like and that are doing good, or people that have helped me, or things that are going on in my circles, or sometimes the further reaches as well. Sometimes just kind of indie news makes it into that segment, and then the rest of it is an interview. And that's it. It seems to be working. I'll probably keep the format similar to that, but I like it. It's podcasting is a lot of fun.
I've not been able to stop, so that's what I tell people. Like I've quit several times. I always keep going.
I took a bit of a hiatus, and I'm still kind of on that hiatus, and I was just kind of trickling out episodes for a little bit, and what I did was I took on way too many. Because I had my other job and I had the game and I was taking on podcasts every week, and it was just like, holy cow, that's too much. Yeah. So I'm going to take a step back and slow things down. I can't keep up with you. There's no way I can keep up with you. You got new stuff coming out all the time. I know it.
My buddy Matt sent me, he goes, listen to this like 5-minute clip of this guy talking about podcasts, and they started this because they wanted to interview an expert on this, because a number had come out that there were like so many million podcasts now. And they're like, is it oversaturated? How could you ever keep up? And the guy started going through these elements like, let's talk about podcasts that have had an episode in the last year. He started with podcasts that only had one show total ever.
Yeah.
And that was like a bunch of them. By the time he got down to like one episode in the last 7 days, there were only like 100,000 left.
Yep.
So it's very doable for people who want to do any regularity at all. And I would say that could be 2-3 times a month would be I don't think I'd go less than twice a month, but if you can do at least that much, you can grow a podcast. It won't be all at once, but you can grow one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been having good results. I mean, nothing astounding, but good results. It's fun. And the best part is that I get to talk to people like you. I get to meet people,
I love this stuff. Yeah. Connecting with people who are doing this stuff. What more could you ask for? You can't really get this on Twitter quite the same way.
No, it's totally different.
So I'm a big fan. I'm a big believer in it. And if you don't want to have one, go on one. It's a great way to get the word out about things, and just it feels good. It's a nice thing to do, I think.
I agree 100%.
That's an awesome preview, and I think people will be looking forward to the content you put together about this, because it looks to me like you're cracking the code pretty effectively. I think you're sort of getting into the matrix of all this and figuring out what supercharges it. And I like that. I like the deep analysis of what's actually working out there. So that's very cool.
Yeah, it's taking me some time, but I'm glad that I'm putting that time into it. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and I really hope that it helps to kick off my my YouTube channel, where I'm probably going to do tutorials on Unity and stuff, animation and all types of stuff, because I'm a generalist. I do it all, so I might as well teach some other people. I mean, I learned from other people. Might as well teach, right?
Very cool. Well, as is tradition, let people know where they can find all your great work and where to follow you.
Absolutely. So my website is rickoclon.com. So my name is spelled RIKOCLON, like Nancy. So rickoclon.com. And then there's also @rickoclon on Twitter. Super easy. YouTube, you just search, because I'm not that big.
That's what you do. That's what you do on YouTube. It's yeah. But quality tweets and quality.
You could search Retro Spaceball too. It's got some great SEO.
Yeah, comes right up. So very cool. People should at very least, check out a video of the gameplay. It's very compelling. It's very interesting. And then, swing by and give it a play. So this will be, I'm looking forward to seeing how you do on Steam and how far the game goes when things really break open for you. I think it's good stuff, and good stuff tends to perform eventually. So looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, I thank you so much for having me on, and it's just been a blast talking to you, and keeping you as a friend has been fun too, man.
Likewise. I like following you online, and those are the people I like having here on the podcast. So thanks again.
Awesome.